Welcome, 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 my lovely brothers and sisters. Welcome to the last. Oh, wait a minute. Uh-oh. No. Welcome to the last part of the inverted consummation of the age. As I said, what was it, Friday? I will do this last part after the weekend, but I will do it right now because tomorrow I have other things, and I'm not sure if I can do um, a live thing tomorrow. All right, Cosmic Marriage, Israel and the Star of David. So far, this chapter of this Battles Between Shadow and Light, a book from Wes Penre, is all about the consummation of the age, and in actuality telling also us that we are dealing with an archontic script that is being rolled out all over the earth, and we are in the last stages of this script. This script is a script that is being every 2156 years the same script. Every time when life goes into a new zodiac sign, the next one is Aquarius, then there is a battle in the Archonte group, especially the echelon of it, who becomes the dominant leader for that age. So this is why they do what they're doing. We are in the middle of an archontic script that is being rolled out each and every age, and it is constantly the same script. So this means that archontic beings are quite fantasyless. They do not change in any way, shape, or form the script. Why? Because it still works. Hopefully, this time there comes a change in this script if we as humans are starting to remember that we are far more than they are, and that we are a 12-stranded human being with a spirit, which the archons lack. And this is why they do everything to keep us numb and dumb, because they want to have us fully controlled. And this is also why they have this setup of the singularity and metaverse to lure us into this. And with this, a new religion comes onto the scene, which is the religion of AI and science and technology. This is the religion that is being brought into, because in each and every age, a new religion must come onto the stage. And so in each, this is the only thing that changes in the script. And so this time they want us to believe and worship science, artificial intelligence, and thus technologies. So this is in actuality what they are doing. Another thing why this script also has some speed in it is so that the overlord of this world, his name is Marduk, he is the echelon leader, overseer of the entire archontic group. And this overlord has a plan, and he has a plan with us human soul group to misuse and abuse the entire human soul group for his cosmic war agenda. And so this is why he is luring as much as possible people into the cloud. And through this, the more people are hooked into it, the easier he can control us, program us to do this war, this cosmic war against Orion universe. Why? Because this Marduk psychopath, uh, archontic overseer, he wants to sit on the throne of Orion. Another reason also is that, and this is also something that is at the same time being played out, the consummation of the age, which means the usurping of the entire kinoma done by the pleroma, a process that needs to be taken place in us selves. This means the absorption of the shadow or dark side in us done by the light that is in us. We are the original true light bearers and carriers, and we are the only ones who can do this process. And this was shown in the last, well, better said, in the third Matrix movie, in the end scene, in the battle between Neo and Agent Smith, where Neo sticks his hand in Agent Smith, and this is in actuality Neo consuming the shadow, the darkness, into light with light, and so Agent Smith was the representation of the kinoma and Neo the representation of the pleroma. And this battle is going on in each one of us too. And this is the mission that we have to fulfill as an entire human soul group: the usurpation, the absorption of shadow slash darkness in us with and through the light that is also in us. So this is in a nutshell the consummation of the age. Why is this? Because the archons are very afraid that they will lose their world. Well, that is in actuality indeed the entire thing. Why? Because a correction needs to take place. Something went wrong at the beginning, long time ago, and this mistake needs to be played out and needs to eventually be balanced out and solved. All right, I start with Cosmic Marriage, Israel, and the Star of David. This is the last part of this series, and then this chapter, what was it, 9, is then completed. Now let us take a look at the definition of consummation in the consummation of the age. So as a noun, it means the action of making a marriage or relationship complete by having sexual intercourse, the eager consummation that follows a long and passionate seduction, and then 2, the point at which something is complete or finalized. And so the consummation of a sale. So far, we have used the second definition in this book, denoting the end of times. So this is in actuality what is termed in the Bible as the end times. This is in actuality the consummation of the age. But a lot of people are very confused with the fact that an earth ceases to exist and so on, so on. But this is misinformation and thus a false teaching. All right, so far we have used the second definition in this book, denoting the end of times, dash, the completion or the kinoma absorption. What I said earlier, the pleroma tries to consume or to merge the kinoma into the spirit realm. So everything can go back to spirit. And this process is in us. This battle is going on in us. You can say in us is the pleroma and the kinoma at the same time. So this is why we feel this push and pull in our bodies also. However, the first definition is even more intriguing. It is not based on the verb between quotation marks consume, but on consummate, which means something slightly different, albeit um, the words are related. Consummate means the completion of a marriage by having intercourse after the couple is pronounced husband and wife. Not until then is the marriage complete, since they have now consummated. So, the archons created Homo sapiens, comma, who are of the material world, the kinoma. Zoe added spirit, and like the Namlu'u before them, comma, Homo sapiens became androgynous until Enki divided us and gave us two genders. Yeah, so this whole separate male and females, as it is in this world, is not what is in our blueprint. This symbolizes the separation between spirit and matter and dramatizes the cosmic separation between the pleroma and the kinoma, spirit and matter. Some suggest the Freemasons of their, better said, or their forerunners, perhaps the Brotherhood of the Snake, introduced marriage between a man and a woman. Matrimony can be traced back to old Mesopotamia, but is most likely even older. Still, of course, the archons started it all before that. Marriage represents the reunification of spirit and matter, feminine and masculine. The married couple reunites first in a holy matrimony, whereafter they, so-called, merge in a sexual intercourse which merges spirit, the egg, and matter, the sperm. So by letting the egg absorb the much smaller sperm, the relative size between the pleroma and the kinoma, we could say, and everything goes back to being feminine again, since all fetuses start out as females. However, after a while during the pregnancy, the fetus can change gender and become a male, which again separates spirit and matter, re-emphasizing the archontic principle. To understand why the archons instigated marriage, we need to go much further back in time if we take the Wes Penre papers into consideration. Where did I first start discussing marriage? The answer is when I explained the cosmic peace agreement between Pistis Sophia and Yaldabaoth, or better known as Khan and Lil. It represented a marriage between spirit and matter, I.E. The consummation of the age started already there. However, Sophia and Yaldabaoth cannot consummate the marriage until after the so-called, between quotation marks, holy cosmic matrimony is consummated and the two, feminine and masculine, merge, albeit not in a sexual encounter, in the original consummation of the age. Pistis, on behalf of the pleroma, must merge with matter and consume it, which only means that she withdraws her light from the kinoma, and Yaldabaoth, representing the physical universe, merges with Sophia and everything returns to spirit. This is what the peace agreement was all about. Note that the word matrimony is the Latin word for matrimonium, which means comes from combining mater, which is mother, with the suffix ammonium, which is action or condition. So if we go back in time, it refers to the first mother, the action, against and between spirit and matter, where the word matter also means mother. You can hear it in the word. So denoting that the matter material universe was created by the mother, the divine feminine, yeah, the prime divine creatrix. Now, if we go back to human matrimony, why is it so important for the archons that we get married and consummate the marriage with so-called sex? And why is the Christian religion saying we should avoid sex before marriage, although many except extremely devoted Christians break that rule? Well, it is a dramatization of the cosmic marriage between Sophia and Yaldabaoth, but every time a couple gets married and consummates the marriage, that energy becomes very powerful and feeds the archons with a boost of spirit, helping them to accomplish the inverted consummation of the age. If the reader deeply ponders what has been said so far in this section, perhaps you realize that without exception, since the beginning of Tiamat, through the second Atlantis and the Matrix, which is the third construct, everything has been about accomplishing the consummation of the age, to establish the marriage, the cosmic family feud we have discussed for years is all about who is going to win the so-called race. Orion or the Kinoma. And in this race, bloodlines become extremely important. So this is why I had to read about and from the Isis book, the story of Isis and the war on bloodlines. All right, William Shakespeare was correct in saying that life is a stage. We are the actors, and he understood a thing or two, whether he was actually Sir Francis Bacon. Everything from DNA, bloodline, civilizations, archontic, and Aryan interference and interactions, all wars, all peace treaties, everything so-called good and so-called bad have purpose and purposely worked toward consummating the cosmic marriage. Thus, the Freemasonic slogan, the great work of the ages. So now we get this understanding of what is truly happening here on earth and the script that is being played out and all the wars and everything that is happening in this script. Everything we do daily in all our human ignorance supports either Orion or the Kinoma. On the deepest level, there is nothing else to life than that until the consummation has been completed or we have returned to Orion, which is in actuality known as Arion. Therefore, my contract in Orion said that prophecy must be fulfilled, and it will be. So the question is, by whom? by Sophia or Yaldabaoth, Kam and Lil. First, if the reader wants to know where Marduk will rise, look in the Middle East. Second, I have mentioned Israel essentially being Prince Ninurta's domain. Let us dig into the letter and discuss the Star of David. So the Star of David, also called the hexagram, the six-pointed star, and the Great Seal of Solomon, is the symbol of Is, Ra, El, Isis, Ra, and Elohim, and is dominant in the Israel flag. So what does this powerful symbol signify? Well, if we look closely, we see two united triangles. One is pointing upward and the other is pointing downward. And if we look at the human body, we can say this is also represented in the body. The first represents the masculine, the matter, and the second represents the feminine, spirit. These two symbols are merged into one, and in some versions the two triangles are more visibly intertwined. The Star of David is a symbol of the consummation of the age, the merge between spirit and matter, where one consumes the other after the cosmic so-called couple finally consummates. So the Star of David is a much older symbol than the House of David, and it goes back to Orion and is Prince Ninurta's symbol. He is the one who and whose mission it is to help the two polarities merge in the end times. He is the intermediary between spirit and matter by taking residence in the semi-spiritual Orion, doing his work in both Orion and the Kinoma to complete the mission of the ages. So the hexagram is therefore originally Ninurta's emblem, and Israel is his domain, stolen by Yaldabaoth through Marduk in the days of David and his son, Solomon. Israel is now under Marduk's occupation. And this also explains the level of extreme brutalness and cruelty, because Marduk is a full-blown psychopath. And the hexagram means the same for Marduk as it does for Ninurta. Both want to complete the marriage through consummation. So Israel is a crucial location for both Orion and the Kinoma. So now you understand why the things are happening in Israel and in the Middle East as they are happening. And it is in that area all must ultimately play out. And know that Marduk is in actuality representing the Kinoma, although it will affect the entire world and the Kinoma in full. It is quite sobering that our entire existence before the consummation of the age will be completed has been to prepare for it. This has been all that matters since the day the first Namlu'u saw the light of the day in Orion. Everything else is a distraction. So we need to get the deeper understanding of all the things that are being played out in the Middle East, in Israel, and everything that is now happening there. And also the correlation between the Middle East and Ukraine and Russia all has its reason and is linked into this plan. Does the reader understand now why Sophia is the between quotation marks virgin and the Virgin Mary, etc.? She has yet to have between quotation marks intercourse to consummate her marriage with matter. The so-called marriage was never completed. So now we go to what is Orion's potential solution. Let us see what this means. I think most readers by now have noticed the challenges Orion always had with solving this problem. I have seen the frustration among people who have read my material. Why doesn't the Queen come and help us? I have not been immune to these thoughts either from time to time, even though I think I understand things better now, thanks to deep studying the Gnostic texts and incorporate some of it to my earlier research, including the Wes Penre papers. Not that Orion has ignored the problem. I think the reader by now realizes that this is not the case. The entire existence is at stake, including the pleroma. Therefore, we can safely say it is the highest priority in Orion to solve this problem and to consume the darkness here. They will never give up on that. Not now and never. The Pleroma and Orion have tried many solutions, but they have all backfired. It is not because the solutions were bad or sloppily thought through. It was because in the kinoma everything is replicated and inverted. Therefore, whatever the beings of light were doing, it backfired and sometimes made things worser. It might make people think the archons must be incredibly smart, but that is not the case. They are acting and reacting due to their traits and characters that are set in stone. That is who and what they are. That is why we do not see any changements due to the fact that the majority of us humans are not asking questions, are not doing self-studying, are not doing self-education. And so we so far did not see and understand what was truly going on. The archons could use the same things all over again and again and again and again. Not until we as human beings are starting to see through what is truly going on, we cannot challenge them. As soon the more of us start to see through the script and what is truly going on and the big plan that is being played out, which is this consummation of the age and this cosmic war against Orion, these two things, if we start to see this and we start to see the things for what they really are, then we make it difficult for the archons, and then they are being challenged. And then this can result in a weakening of the entire script they are rolling out and are playing out for a far too long time. So with that in mind, what will Orion potentially do? I would suggest they will do nothing, and that might be the best solution in this situation. Every time they do something, the archons counteract, so making the same mistake over and over is the definite and definition of stupidity. Therefore, it is time to change strategies. I cannot exclude the possibility that Orion might wait for the singularity to happen as the only option to get spirit out of the kinoma. If Orion lets the Khan Kings attack, and Orion is fairly confident they will defeat them, which my contact told me, after all, those humans whom the Khan Kings ride will, at the moment of the attack, also have returned to Orion. If Orion shows victorious and the Archons would be captured in the process, they would be judged in the Orion court and then thrown into the spiritless, bottomless pit and locked in there for always and for eternity. Left would be only their physicality and the spirit they still possess in that what is known as hell dimension, with no spirit in their environment. They will consume each other to grasp for air, so to speak, until there is no one left and spirit is consummated. Then Yaldabaoth, Khan Enlil will finally consume himself. Chances are that some humans will follow the Khans into the pit because they are too corrupt and too hostile to be allowed into Orion. They will also be consumed by the Khans and by each other. The cosmic ocean will absorb all spirit inside the hell dimension, which will become one with the mother goddess. They will lose their individuality. So when the archons are defeated in Orion, the rest of the human soul group who stayed in Earth and refused to go into the metaverse can then, with Orion's help, exit and return to Orion. A victory over the attacking Khan Kings would be a potential solution to the problem of the ages, and the Kinoma might be consumed by the Pleroma again, wherewith the marriage would be consummated. Of course, no human in this construct knows Orion's exact plans, and we can still only see some things from our perspective because we lack sufficient knowledge. However, I have been pondering for a long time, what is the solution if I were of the Orions? What would I suggest? My conclusion is that the best would be to do nothing. Let it all play out and let the Mi'kmaq Defense Force take care of the Archons. There's always a chance Orion will fail, but I still think this is the plan with the greatest chance of success, and I would be surprised if Orion haven't at least considered it. And this is in actuality, I think, also the best thing. Don't interfere and do not do anything. Let this be played out as it needs to be played out. If we start to interfere it, we are making it for ourselves very difficult, and also the chances that we then also are falling prey to something that is in actuality not in our best interest. So, yeah, I would say prepare yourselves spiritually, physically, and energetically, and make sure that you are in connection with your spirit so that your spirit can guide you to wherever you have to be and go to when shit hits the fan on Earth. There is much at stake, and it might appear to be a shaky plan, but if it works, the humans in the cloud will already be home in Orion when the battle is over and can hopefully be helped and woke up from their mind control after the shocking experience of the battle in Orion by showing them empathy and compassion, because many of us are also lured into this cloud And so we are there in it without our consent. Yeah, we do not really know uh, what is truly happening. And from what I came to understand, we human soul group are already in the cloud since 1995. Mind you, since 1995, we are already in the cloud. So this means we are already in it. Yeah, it is in actuality what we see now. We are in the end stage, and the archons, want to end everything by 2045. So this is what we now see. This is why they have such a hurry to enforce us in using artificial intelligence and to have us hooked into the cloud system, into metaverse, into singularity. All right, what about the Bible prophecies, which is the last piece of this chapter? I have discussed earlier that prophecy must be played out. This is what my contact in Orion told me. I did not realize that there is more than one prophecy, and they are conflicting. So we have the book of Revelation, of course, but we also have the divine consummation of the age, which we will discuss in more detail in an upcoming chapter. When we hear or read about the number 7, we can rest assured it is about the 7 archons or the 7 heavens, such as with the 7 trumpets in the book of Revelation. That entire prophecy is, and here it comes, channeled by the calm kings. So it's not from God at all. Yeah, the entire Bible is channeled information, and is not holy at all, and is directly coming from Marduk himself, the so-called God of the New Testament, and the Old Testament is channeled by Enki, the God of the Old Testament. So the New Testament is channeled by Marduk, who plays God in this world and who has played also for Jesus. Yeah. So now you get the story more complete. So this is why it's of great importance to um, get a grip and understanding of what this Bible book in actuality is. And I truly hope, sincerely and wholeheartedly, that many believers start to wake up the many distortions in the Bible and stop being so attached to it. See the storyline for what it truly is. And this is one of the reasons why I am passing on to you all this information from these books that my spirit is telling me to present to you. So, the entire prophecy of the book of Revelation is channeled by the calm kings, most likely Marduk himself. It is based on the, between quotation marks, Jesus story. And we now know that the real Jesus is in actuality Marduk himself, of course, which is our story, but then an inverted version. So an archontic version of our human story. The story of humankind told from an archontic perspective and perception and viewpoint. We are the Christ in the pleroma. We are the Christ in the pleroma. We are this real light bearer. Yeah. Dash the goddess only and perfect child. as well as Jesus slash Marduk is God's only and perfect child dash the Christ in the Jesus narrative. However, we have also discussed how everything transforms into something similar across the dimensions and densities, although the Jesus story is the story of us. It also illustrates another story which relates to Orion and the Kinoma. If the ultimate trinity is the mother goddess, Barbello, and the perfect child, the Christ consciousness, we have another trinity in Orion, which is Pistis Sophia, Zoe Sophia, and Sabaoth, who is the child dash the Christ of Orion. As the Bible conveys, Christ slash Jesus is also Archangel Michael, the warrior from heaven who threw out the archons, the fallen archangels, from the eighth heaven with assistance from his female Amazon, Micmac army, and the Duck, who were still loyal to Orion. He deported the Archons to Earth to join with humans because Orion wanted all Archons gathered in one place close to us so we could complete our part of this consummation of the age mission. And one day, Archangel Michael, Ninurta, will return and complete the mission, which will end in the Archon's demise. This is dramatized in the Bible prophecy. Marduk as Jesus promised to come back and reign for 1,000 years in so-called paradise. This resembles Prince Enlil becoming Khan Enlil after Yaldabaoth's demise in the future. Thus we have the Bible prophecy, in which Archangel Michael will return, fight the evil forces, and establish his so-called kingdom. This biblical Michael is, of course, Marduk. So it's not the Archangel Michael from the Pleroma, but the Archangel Michael from the Kinoma. Marduk, the inverted version, acting as Ninurta on Shakespeare's stage. So this will ignite the final world war and kill many people. Marduk does not want a metaverse and the singularity, since he can only handle 3% of humankind. So we need to wake up that the stage that we are now seeing being played out on Earth is a preparation of a final world war. And then after this war, many people will beg for the coming of Jesus, and then Marduk will return back as Jesus. Yeah? A potential fake alien invasion has also been planned, the so-called Project Blue Beam. But why all this drama? Why not just kill off a chunk of the human population? It has been done before. Why all this so-called religious drama? Well, it is because the archons are copycats. They have to follow a certain pattern. Yeah, see this for what it is. So the $1 million question is, comma, will Bible prophecy play out or is that part abandoned? Well, I highly suspect Orion has changed their plans after they noticed what a dilemma we are in, and that might also slightly change the Archontic plan regarding prophecy, but it is unknown. It is being played out, and I would suggest it is going to happen before the singularity is established around 2045. If we look around us now, the world is in greater danger than ever before. The Ukraine war raging for a far too long time, having the potential to expand, comma, we have the devaluation of the United States dollar, yeah, which is also being played out, comma, with the Saudi Arabia now refusing to trade oil for United States dollars and other nations follow. We are going toward an economic collapse, which usually is the predecessor of a major war. Go back to the Second World War. What brought the collapse? Economic collapse. What brought the entire world into the Second World War? Economic collapse, which usually is the predecessor of a major war. More between quotation marks diseases will show up globally. And brothers and sisters, I already have heard from several sources that they are planning a new pandemic requiring certain between quotation marks remedies, which means another version of sticky prickies, yeah, the needle inserts, etc. If world war free happens, not all of it will play out on the battlefield. Yeah? Never forget to monitor the Middle East. If Bible prophecy plays out, comma, then that is the nexus point. Also keep an eye on Saudi Arabia and remember the theme of this book. The archons copy everything. So if you want to get a clue about who might be the upcoming world leader, so to speak, look among princes and kings, or more precisely, a prince that is about to be king, inverting Ninurta, the prince who is about to be king. So we need to monitor what is happening in the Middle East and the persons that are involved in this play and see who is doing what, and then we can see who can become this king. And that person is most likely Marduk. Yeah, that we then can see as the new king. So we need to see what is happening in the Middle East. And this is why the Middle East always has been this stage. And I think also the reason why this state of Israel, yeah, because Israel is having a state in a state like Washington has. So we need to see right now what is being played out in the Middle East and who comes in and on the winning hand there. And indeed, let us remember archons are copycats, so they need to copy everything. Um, and with this said, I have come to the end of reading this last and final part of this chapter 9, which was all about the inverted consummation of the age. Um, I would highly recommend you to re-listen to the other three parts and re-listen to them with the help of your spirit. Ask your spirit questions and have patience in receiving the answers, and see what the information you get from your own spirit after re-listening to these videos all about the consummation of the age. All right, I want to thank you for tuning in this day through Rumble, through YouTube, and through Facebook. And I also wish you a beautiful, joyful day filled with a lot of love and truth and wisdom and revelations, all coming from your own spirit. Know that you can have connection with your spirit, and please do so. Start working with your spirit, because that is your guide, your leading line, your leading connection in this world and beyond. All right, so let us listen to a piece of music um, today, and let us listen to Echoes from the Mountains, created by Ben Sound. So thank you so much, and see you next time.